Good morning, YouTube and the internets. Well, here's crank number 7, back from the machine shop after crack testing. I got an email yesterday with a bill and telling me that crank was no good either. So that's why I've decided I'm going to LS swap it now. Of course I'm not going to LS swap it. But what I have done is I've reached out to the RB gurus of the world, and basically the feedback is that no one's ever seen an RB25 crankshaft crack under any use. The nose can crack off, but not the crankshaft itself. There's no lights on in here. As I was saying before, I walked into a dark garage where you couldn't see anything. Yeah, RB25s just don't crack. Crankshafts don't break in half under any sort of use. So I'm not saying that the machine shop is necessarily wrong, but it appears that they're testing it to a degree far higher than is needed for these crankshafts. They're sturdy. The nose breaks off on some of them, but there's been no cracking in the front of the crankshaft where the oil pump goes, where it comes out through the front. But yeah, some people have come forward and they're willing to, look at the cranks and help me out. So before I go forward any further, something in my eye, or I'm crying over all my issues. I'm probably crying. Yeah, before I go any further with that machine shop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of these cranks to someone else and have them tested there, reputable engine builders around Brisbane, and even there's a crankshaft specialist who a guy's said he can put me on to, and he can even take them in with his customer engines to get the guy to look at it pretty cheap. So that's where I'm at. I've added that to the pile of dead RB bits, but some of these bits may well be resurrected based on the feedback. So yeah, even the likes of Andrew Hawkins from Motive DVD commented, saying, look, it just doesn't happen. He's never seen an RB25 crankshaft break. So there may be cracks in the crankshaft, but they're not going to cause a failure of any sort. Certainly not within the power levels that I'm looking at. There's RB25s out there with 800 horsepower, and they're not breaking crankshafts either. So good news is, I got back from the machine shop, I misheard him about the blocks. So both blocks have been dimensionally checked, and both main tunnels are dimensionally correct. Well, what he apparently said, which I thought he meant it needed line boring, is it just needs a polish to clean up the surface finish on the main. So that's a good thing. I've got two workable blocks. Both need to take oversized pistons, and yeah, so I've got them, but I'm not doing anything with that machine shop until I have a look at these cranks, a second opinion, because 7 cranks failing crack testing is just unheard of. Yeah, so like I said, they're a reputable shop. Some of the people I've spoken to privately, because I'm not out there to slander and throw names around, some of the experienced people I've spoken to privately said, yeah, look, they're a good workshop. They normally do good work. So I just think they're probably being overly cautious with what they're calling a failure, or what they're calling unserviceable. I've seen photos of 5 of the cranks when they're being tested, and I can see the failures. And I showed you photos in some of the earlier videos. You can see these little tiny cracks running through various surfaces. Some of them may actually be unserviceable, like just not usable. But the idea that all 7 are not usable is just, it's a bit absurd. So, and the last 2 crankshafts, he's just said they're unserviceable, hasn't sent me any photos. So yeah, that's going to be this week's video. I've got to stop, reconsider my position. I mean, I still have everything to build an RB25, except in theory a crankshaft, but I have 7 crankshafts in my possession that have tested and been failed by one place. I think the logical scenario is now to pick some of those and go and get them tested somewhere else, who have got a history of building high-powered RBs, so they'll know what is unserviceable, what is practically usable, and what will fail. You know, ideally through the decades of experience that Australian engine builders have got on RB25s and on RBs in general, RB26s. So yeah, this is all caused. I mean, this is a further month delay in the build process. I had no time pressure to start with, but I'm starting to get time pressure because it's taking so long to get through this first step. That's all I wanted to let you know. Just keep in touch and keep you up to date. I wanted to put at least a video up a week. I'd really love to be putting an engine together for you, but I can't, and I've just got to get through these steps, get over this hurdle before I can really achieve anything. No, I'm not going to LS swap it. No, I'm not going to 2J swap it. No, I'm not going to put an RB30 in it. Stop asking. Most likely scenario would be I'd put a 26 in it for sure, and I'd put a 26 crank in one of these 25 blocks as well. That's probably the 2 most likely alternative scenarios if all 7 of these crankshafts are no good and I can't find a good one. I even had a bloke approach me and said, look, he's got one that's in the shop at the moment being tested and he's willing to sell that to me. So there's plenty of options out there, but they all take time, and I can only explore one of them at a time because I can't just buy, you know, 2 26 crankshafts, 3 25 crankshafts, and then try and make up my mind afterwards. I've already explained the issues with running a 26 shaft. I need pistons and rods for that, and stock ones won't work because of the bore size. So I'd have to buy rods and pistons as well, which I already have, and I've already spent thousands of dollars there doing that. And yes, I can sell them, but you get like 50% of the retail rate for selling brand new second-hand stuff. So that'll be a fairly chunky hole in the build budget if I did that. Yeah, there's not a lot else going on, unfortunately. Very busy at work. Not a lot of time for anything else. Just yeah, just dreaming about getting this car back on the road. Well, on the racetrack.